And here's Molly. Good morning, Molly. Can you say hi to everybody? They're all gonna miss you when we go back into the pavilion. All right, can everybody hear me? Okay, it just said I was muted. All right, let's get started into our seated position. Sit up on a blanket or a block. Close your eyes. And start to settle in. Let's check in, see how you're feeling. Let's notice what's going on internally. Any constriction, anything that's just kind of bugging you. Just take notice. We'll start to focus on our breath. Just watch the breath as it comes in through the nose and out through the nose. Watch the breath as it comes in, the chest rises, belly fills. And then again, as you exhale, feel the navel draw in and up as the breath travels up and out. So let's do that again. Big breath in, fill it up. And as you exhale, empty it out. Let's do that again. Breath in and out. And we're going to add on. So let's take a big breath in to the count of 4. Breath in, 2, 3, 4. And exhale to 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's breathe into 5. And exhale to 6. Breathe into 6. Exhale for 7. Breathe in for 7. Fill it up, do your best. And exhale for 8. Inhale for 8. And exhale for 9. Feel the abdominals contracting as you exhale. Inhale for 9. I know it gets a little bit more challenging with these higher numbers. Do your best. Exhale for 10. Inhale for 10. Big breath in. Pull it up. And then let it go for 10. And then just let your breath flow naturally in and out. All right, so let's sit up nice and tall. Take your hands on your knees. You can switch your legs around. We've been here for a little bit. Might feel good to move the legs around. Take your hands on your knees. Just gently pull on the knees, lift the chest. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other. And feel the chest opening as you pull on the knees. And just continue with your breath. We're going to sit up nice and tall. And then we'll twist over to the right. So just take your left hand onto your right knee and your right hand behind you. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. One more time. Grow your spine nice and long. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. And then we'll twist over to the left. Inhale. Feel the spine grow nice and long. You can use your back hand to help lengthen. And then exhale, twist. Inhale. Crown of the head rises to the sky. And as you exhale, twist. And one more. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. And then come on back to center. Take a breath here. We're going to flow through that. You can switch your legs around again. We're going to inhale to the right. Exhale, twist. Inhale to the left. Exhale, twist. Inhale to the right. And twist. To the left. And twist. And one more each side. Inhale over to the right. And twist. And to the left. And twist. And then just come on back to center. So come on to your hands and knees. We're going to go into Gomukhasana legs. So there's some options here. We're going to take our right knee in front of our left. And then sit back. You can sit back on a blanket, maybe a block or a couple blocks or a pillow, sitting up nice and high as you need to go, sitting here. So this isn't always easy for our hips. So see if you can get into this position. Your feet will be on the outside of your legs. If you can get into this position like this. If this is not going to work for your hips, you can always just take your top leg out in front like this, okay? We're just going to sit here for right now. So we're getting the adduction actually of the legs. Just sit up nice and tight. You can take your fingertips down by your side, lift your chest, just like we did when our hands were on our knees. You're going to lift the chest, draw the shoulders toward each other. Just kind of notice how this feels with the legs. We don't do this a lot. Usually we do this lying down. It's a little bit more challenging this way. You're going to feel it a lot more. Okay, now let's come on up and we're going to switch sides. So we'll take the left knee in front of the right and sit back again. And one side might be a little bit easier than the other. So if that's the case, maybe you can stay here where you didn't last time, or don't forget, you can always just put your foot here. So we get this adduction here of the legs. Hands come by your sides. Inhale. Just sit here. Draw your navel in and up. And 2 more breaths. Starting to open up the hips a little bit. And just notice you might need to go up a little higher on a block. All right, let's just take both legs out in front. Still sitting up on your blanket. Look at the internal rotation of the legs. Press through your heels so your toes are drawing towards your shins. Hands come over to your sides. On your fingertips, lift your chest. Press through the heels. Lift the chest. Really engage the legs. Draw the quadriceps up towards your hips, the kneecaps toward the quads. And relax. So we're going to go back into Gomukhasana legs. So come onto your hands and knees. We'll take the right knee in front and sit back again. This time find your strap. I should probably just put her bed right over there. Let me try that when I get up. All right, let's, no one's here but me, so she's a little needy. So let's take the strap. So we've got the right knee on top. Let's take the strap around the left wrist. We're going to reach the arm up and bend the elbow. And then take the left arm's up, right arm's out, thumb down, reach around, find your strap. And then pull down and pull up. Lift the chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Pulling up with the top hand and down with the bottom. And then release. Come forward onto your hands and knees. We're going to switch the legs around. And then come back. And again, don't be afraid to just keep your foot here. And we'll take this around the right wrist. So I'm not actually mirroring you right now. I'm on the same hand and knee. We're going to reach the right arm up, bend the elbow. You can help it along a little bit. Try to get a little bit more open here. Maybe even take your tricep toward the front of the room. The left hand's going to come out and then find your strap. And then pull up with the top and pull down with the bottom. Lift the chest. Link up and down, feeling the chest opening. And then go ahead and release. You can put your strap aside for right now. Come back onto your hands and knees. We'll take both legs out in front. One more time for Dandasana. Fingertips on your mat. Lift the chest. Really squeeze the shoulder blades together as you press through your heels. So it's a very active pose, but there's a lot going on as we press through our heels, engage the legs, lift the chest. And then release. And let's make our way onto our backs. Keep all your stuff nearby. If you have a strap with a buckle, we're going to use the loop today. I know some of you have probably been doing this all along. Yeah, there's nobody new on here. So once we get down there, we can adjust it. So let's come onto our backs. And you can just keep the strap aside for right now. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's just start with a full body stretch. So extend your arms overhead. Extend your heels to the edge of your mat. Lift your chest. So draw the shoulders down so they're kind of tucked underneath the chest. Press through your heels. Hook your thumbs together and then take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, press through your heels. Reach through your fingertips. Feel the entire body lengthen. Full body stretch. Now inhale, hook the thumbs the other way. Exhale, press and reach. Inhale, switch your grip. Exhale, press and reach. Inhale, switch. Exhale, big stretch. And one more time, inhale, switch your grip and press and reach. And then just take your hands down. Now let's find our strap. So we're going to use the loop. If you have a buckle, if you're using something that doesn't have a buckle, just do what we normally do. So if you've got the loop, we're going to take the loop around the right heel. Now you want to make sure that you have enough length in your loop where your arm is straight and you can lock your shoulder down. So we're going to take the right heel over our hip, and you want to be able to, I might need to even make mine a little longer, just a little bit, and lock the shoulder down. All right, so we're taking the right thigh bone, the right hip away from our chin. We're pulling down on the strap. I need a little bit more. So you kind of adjust. It might take a little bit, especially as you pull down, you might feel you need a little bit longer or even shorter. And now the left leg is active, right? We've got the left heel reaching toward the edge of our mat and the left pinky toe pointing up toward the sky. And we're locking that right shoulder down and taking that right hip away from our shin. Just pull down on the strap and press your heel into the strap. Bend your knee, release, we'll switch sides. So extend the right leg, nice and long. Press through the heel, just like in Dandasana. They're Dandasana legs. You've got the toes pressing toward the shin, the right pinky toe pointing up. Then the left arm is straight and you're locking that shoulder down. If you're using two straps, two edges of your strap, it's the same thing. Both arms are straight and you're locking your shoulder down. We're taking that left thigh bone away from our chin. Flex through both feet, lift the chest. And use your breath here. And let's switch sides again. Let's go back over to the right. Now this time, take your left leg long. We're gonna take the loop or both ends of your strap into your left hand, but we're gonna keep the right heel over the right hip. So we've got this arm is diagonal, the left arm. The left leg is strong, left pinky toes pointing up. Now we're gonna take our right thumb into our right hip crease. So where we usually say we're gonna take that right hip away from our chin, now we're gonna help it along. But the leg is just straight, right? We're not taking it across our body just yet. Lock that left shoulder down. Keep your chest lifted. Push that right thigh bone away. And then what's going on with your left leg? Remember to pay attention to that. Left pinky toe points up. And you're pressing through your heel. So you want to feel this in your hamstring. If you feel like your knee's bending, take your leg out a little bit farther. And let's switch sides. So bend the knee, bring the foot in, and switch it over to the left. The loop will come into your right hand. Left heel stays over your left hip. Left thumb comes into your left hip crease. Let's prepare the right leg first. So take that right pinky toe pointed up. So your right knee is pressing down toward the mat. And then the left thumb goes into your left hip crease and we're pushing that left hip away. Creating traction in the hip and lift your chest. And breathe here. Couple more breaths. Lift the chest. Pull down on the strap and press into the strap. All right, bend your knee. Bring it in. We're going to switch sides again. Back over to the right. Strap is back into your left hand. Left leg goes long. Left pinky toe points up. Right thumb comes back into your hip crease. And then we're going to take the right heel over in line with our left shoulder. And now we cross over just across the body. Lift the chest. Press through your left heel. Keep the chest lifted. Keep pushing that right thigh bone away. Lift the chest. Activate that left leg. Going down with your strap. Feeling this, you're going to feel this in the abductors, the outer leg. One more breath. And then using your core, let's bring the leg up and remove the strap and switch sides. So the loop comes in the right hand, left thumb in your left hip crease, right leg is active. So right pinky toe points up. And then we'll take the left heel over in line with our right shoulder. Take that left thumb and push it away from your shin. And then the low belly draws up towards your chin. So creating traction in the low back and the hip. Flex through both heels. And then lift the chest again. And it kind of relaxes. So we want to keep the chest lifted. And then let's bring the leg up and remove the strap. Coming back to the right. Take the strap back into your left hand. Left leg goes long. And then you can do what we just did. You can take your thumb into your hip crease, and let's start that way. Let's all take our right thumb into our right hip crease. Take the right heel over in line with our left shoulder. Then push that right thigh away. So you can just stay right here. If you want to take this a little bit farther, you can take your right leg all the way over across your body to the left and extend your right arm out. So a little bit more intense through the outside of the leg. Press through your right heel. Just do what you can. Lift the chest. Do what you can do here. If it felt better to just keep your heel over your left shoulder, stay there. Either way, we're going to stay here for a few breaths. Opening up the hips. Maybe feeling this right into your glutes, right? You're going to feel it up here, this down the side of the leg, the IT band. Take a big inhale. Exhale, bring your leg up, bend the knee, and take your leg long. Let's do the other side. So the straps come into your right hand, left thumb in your left hip crease, right leg is strong and active, and then we're going to take the left heel in line with our right shoulder. Press that left hip away. Now you can stay right here and work on this, opening up the chest, pressing the left hip away, keep that right leg strong, pinky toe points up. Or you can go farther. You can take your leg over to the right. So the left hip's gonna pop up, and you can extend your left arm out. So taking this into a twist, feeling the glutes, the IT band, all kinds of stuff going on. Lift the chest. Keep the neck long. Try not to hunch up so you're cutting off your breath here. Lift the chest. Breathe. Inhale. Exhale, bring your leg up. And then remove your strap. Take your legs long. Just kind of notice how they feel right now. We're going to go on to the external rotation. So we're going to do something today. We'll do it the typical way, which you're used to first, and then there's another option. So if you use a blanket or a block or a pillow here, put that right to the outer edge of your right hip. Let's take the strap around our right heel. Lock your shoulder down, the right shoulder. Take your left hand on your left hip bone. Take that left pinky toe up. Rotate the right outer thigh out, right? The right thigh is going to rotate out, and the left knee is going to rotate down toward the floor. All right, now let's take a breath in. Keeping everything engaged, we're going to lower the right leg out. So we're opening up the inner thigh here, the adductors. Don't let that left leg open out. We're going to keep that left pinky toe pointing up. And we're flexing through both feet. Lift the chest. So the outer edge of your right foot comes parallel to the floor. And stay here for a few breaths, feeling this big stretch in the inner thigh. Pull on your strap. Press into your strap. Typically this one feels pretty good. You have control over it, right? You have your strap. So if it's too much, or if it is too much, put a blocker blanket underneath your right hip. That makes a big difference. Let's take a breath in. And as you exhale, bring your leg up. Bend the knee. Switch your sides. If you've got your support, put it over to the other side. Strap comes around the left heel. Straps the left hand. Right leg goes long. Right leg is active. Right pinky toe points up. Lift the chest. Right hand on your right hip bone. Inhale. And as you exhale, lower that leg out to the left. Pull down on your right hip. Pull the strap into your foot and push your foot into your strap. So feeling this in the inner thigh and your adductor. Don't let the right foot splay open. So bring that right pinky toe up. I say this because my foot does it naturally. It wants to do that. So you got to really work on that. Keeping that right leg, the right foot pointing up, and the right knee rotating down toward the mat. Take a breath in. Exhale. Lift your leg. Remove your strap. And just take your legs long. Okay, so you have the option of doing that again if you don't have a wall. Now, my wall is not ideal here, but I'm going to show this to you because I love this. So you want to come parallel to your wall. If you don't have a wall, just do what we just did, all right? I'm going to try to demonstrate this. We may have done this once or twice, but I love this one. So we're going to lie parallel to the floor, and you can even start with your strap. I kind of like to do that because that gets me in position. So you can start with your strap, keeping your right hand. Let's start with, I guess I'm going to start with the left because this is the easy way to do it, so I'm facing you somehow. I'm going to start with my strap on my left, right hand on my right hip. I'm going to lower my leg out to the wall. So that kind of gets me there. You can always move the strap once you're there, or if you don't want to use the strap, it's fine. So if you have a wall, you take your leg into the wall, all right? And you can maybe even wiggle it down. And if this feels easy, you can move over, wiggle it down a little bit more. You kind of play around with it until you get your leg straight. This right leg still stays pointing up. And then you're pressing your foot into your wall. Pull down on your right hip. Keep your right leg engaged. So this should feel really good. This is really good for our hips. And we'll stay here for a few breaths if you're in the wall. If you're not, again, don't worry about it. Just use your strap. If you're at the wall, push your foot into the wall. Lift the chest. Or this is something you can try later when you have a more accessible wall. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of open wall space in this house. I don't, so I do understand that, I do understand the challenge of that. So let's take one more breath here. Push your foot into the wall. And then carefully release, bring the leg up, take your leg straight. Take a breath there. All right, then we'll switch sides. So I'm going to have to turn this way. This is where I'm sure I have a lot of room. So we're going to lie down on our backs, again, parallel to your wall. You can use your strap if you want to get you set up. So the leg is straight here. Left leg goes straight. And then lower your leg out to the wall. And then you can always remove the strap, or you can keep the strap there. And then kind of feel your way to a place where you're going to get your leg straight. And you can press it into the wall. And I love this. I think this feels so good. It's really good for your hips. So press into the wall. Take your left hand on your left hip. You guys walk the leg down a little bit more, maybe move out a little farther. Kind of position yourself, especially if you've not done this before. Sometimes you have to work into it, but you don't have to think too much about it. It's just putting your foot at the wall and then really kind of jarring your hip, jamming your hip into its socket, right? You're pushing into the wall, really pushing the leg in and then kind of getting that hip into its socket. A couple more breaths. I'm gonna come out. You guys stay here if you're there. I wanna just see if anybody's in the wall. Yeah, good, good. All right, carefully just come up. Take your legs long. Just take them long and see how that feels. It feels really good. You guys like that? I love that one. I don't usually teach it because, I don't know, my wall space isn't ideal, but I thought I'd do it today. So good. All right, let's just come back to your mats then. Stay on your backs. And we'll finish through the hip series. So stay on your backs. Let's bend our knees. We'll slide the right foot over to the right, and we'll let that right knee drop in toward our left foot. And then we check our alignment. We want the right knee in line with our right shoulder. You can take your left foot onto your right thigh. Maybe take your right arm overhead and then take a hold of your wrist, your right wrist, with your left hand. And breathe here. Lengthening from the quadricep right up to the right wrist. Lift the chest. Maybe drag that left heel down your leg. A little bit more length. And carefully come out of that. We'll set up for the other side. So right knees point up. Slide the left foot over. Let the left knee drop in towards your right foot. Let's take our foot on our leg first. Then we'll check our alignment. If you do that. If you put your foot on your leg, go ahead and do that now. Then we'll all check our alignment. Left knee in line with the left shoulder. Left arm reaches overhead. Take a hold of your wrist with your right hand. And breathe here. Lift your chest. Nice long line. From the right knee up to the left knee up to the left fingers. And even drag your right heel down your left leg. And then uncross. Bring your knees up. Hands can come down, just on your hips. Let your right knee drop over to the right. And just slide your right foot behind your left heel. Stay here or take your left heel in front of your right shin so that left knee drops over to the left. And if that feels easy, if that feels like your hips are okay with it, you can take your left foot onto your right thigh and let the left knee drop out to the left. Now lift your chest. You can keep your hands on your hips or reach your arms overhead. Hold on your opposite elbows. Or keep your arms straight. Draw your navel in and up. Keep the chest lifted and open. Breathe here. Hips are externally rotating. Opening up our hips in every direction. And all this works for the low back. So also we'll do a little knee stuff that helps our knees as well. Most of this helps with our knees, with our low back, with our hips. And let's uncross. Let the left knee drop over. So the left foot tucks in behind your right heel. Stay here. The right heel can come in front of your left shin. Or maybe you can take your right foot on your left thigh. If your right foot's on your left thigh, flex both feet. So they're in line with each other. And then maybe reach your arms overhead. Lift your chest. Big deep breaths. Notice this hip from the other hip. And let's uncross. Take both legs long. Keep your arms overhead, hook your thumbs together, flex your feet, get a big stretch here. And then let's hug our knees in. Just rock from side to side. And then make your way over to one side and come onto your hands and knees. And then take child's pose. Taking your knees wide on your mat, toes will come together. Extend your arms out. Your tailbone down toward your heels. Take a couple breaths here. All right. Come back up onto your hands and knees. Shoulders are over our wrists, hips are over our knees. Press the tops of your feet into your mat. And then as you exhale, take your tailbone toward your knees. Push the floor away from you. Look up at your belly button. And then turn your tailbone toward the sky. Let your belly drop towards your mat. Broaden across your collarbones. And maybe even lift the chin. And let's flow through cat-cow a couple times at your own pace. Inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat. Just flowing through your spine. You can even wiggle your hips from side to side. And then the next time you're in cow pose, where your belly's dropping towards your mat, tailbone's lifting, stay there. Turn your toes under and lift into a downward facing dog. But stay with your knees bent to start. Heels will stay high, knees are bent. Spread your fingers wide. Wiggle your chest to your thoughts. And then gaze at your knees so your neck stays long. And take your hips a little bit higher and then straighten your legs. And maybe press your heels a little closer to your mat. Now look towards your hands. Walk your feet and your hands to each other. Take your hands by your hips. Come all the way up into Tadasana. All right, so get a chair, or you can use your 2 blocks or your couch. We're going to go back into down dog. So we're just going to come forward onto our chair. You can use blocks. It's just a little higher than our hands on the mat. So if you have blocks and you don't have a chair, then we're going to step back to down dog. This way we get to press our heels down a little bit more. You're probably able to actually get your heels in your mat, pressing right into the mat. Lengthening across the shoulders, lengthening through the spine. And then walk yourself back towards your chair and come all the way up. And stand up nice and tall. Let's take a breath here in Tadasana. Okay, let's come back to our chair. This time we're gonna come forward and take the the left leg back, right leg forward. And again, you can use your blocks if you don't have a chair. Just something that where our hands are not on the mat, so it's a little bit higher. Lift the chest, right foot forward, left leg back, and then we're just gonna take that left heel and drag it kind of isometrically toward the back edge of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, open up the chest. Draw that right hip back. So feeling this in the hamstrings, and it feels either one with your blocks or your chair. Now push your big toe mound into your mat and pull the right hip back. Draw the quadriceps up. And then step up. Let's switch sides. Right leg comes back. Left foot goes forward. Lifting through the chest. Pressing your big toe mounds into your mats. Really rooting down firmly through the feet. Kind of drag that right heel. So you kind of, the foot's at an angle, the right foot's at an angle, but we're, as if we're going to drag the skin of our heel toward the back of the mat. And then the left hip's going to draw back and engage your quads. Lift the chest. So feeling this in your hamstrings. And then step your foot up. Come back to Tadasana. Okay. So now we're going to go into a variation of Warrior One. And we've done this before, so if you have your chair, or you can even use a block if it's stable, but I don't want you to be wobbly, so I'd rather you just go into regular Warrior One than play around with that. Maybe you have something that you could, a couple books or something. Or even if you did it more like this, where you know it's stable, it's a little bit higher. Otherwise, we'll start with our right foot. We'll take the right foot on our chair. We're going to step the left leg back, and the left foot's at an angle, okay? So you can start here with your hands on your chair to get set up, and then we're going to come up with our hands on our hips. And we're going to take the left hip forward. Keep the shoulders squeezing toward each other, chest stays lifted. We don't want to overarch here. So we're not lifting the chest, but the shoulders are right over the hips. And then you can reach your arms up. Take your hips towards your chair. Shoulders down and back. And like I said, any chair will work for this practice, for these, especially these. If we were going to do shoulder stands in a chair, you'd really need this kind of a chair. But for these purposes right now, any chair in your house will work. And then come down, and we'll switch sides. So angle the right foot, step the left foot on your chair. Take your hands on your hips. Lift the chest, and then come forward. Really engaging this back leg, super strong. And then you can extend your arms up. And take your tailbone toward your chair. Lift the chest. Stay here for a couple breaths. Yeah, lean into a little bit more, come forward. Yes. Yep. Good. And then just carefully step your foot down. Yeah, Peggy's got an Iyengar chair. She's got the real one. All right, just come back to Tadasana for a breath, and then we'll come just stretch and down dog, just like before. And we'll come back to Tadasana. All right, now we're going to stretch the front of our body, and we've done this before, and if you were using a wall earlier, then you have some wall space, but I'm gonna show you how to do it with a chair too. So I'll start here and I'll get you in if you have your wall. We're gonna use our blanket here. Have some blocks nearby, you might need them. You guys have done this. And we'll start on our hands and knees. And then we're gonna take our right knee to the wall and the right foot up the wall. And then we'll step into a lunge with our left foot. This is where blocks might come in handy. They do for me, because I can really feel this. Oh, I do get nail polish all over our wall when I do these, but we need a paint here anyway. Okay, so my quad is feeling super tight today, so I don't know how yours are feeling, but I'm gonna try to take my hands up onto my leg. And I really feel this right here. I may not be able to get my arms overhead, but some of you might be able to take this a little bit further. I don't know why it's so tight today, but it's really tight. Some of you might be able to extend your arms up overhead, or as you breathe into it. So now I can maybe go a little bit farther, but breathe into it, see what happens. Now, oh, I'm sorry, I was gonna show you the other ways. Is everybody okay here? Do I have to show you that? Let's see. The other option is to, you can use your chair. So the same thing, you take your foot up to your chair, step your left foot back. This is a little more accessible for me. I feel like I can get here. And then of course, if this isn't gonna work for you at all, come into a lunge. You're still gonna get that stretch here. So there's lots of options. So stay there for a couple more breaths wherever you are. I'll come back to this because it's right here. And it's nice to pad the knee. I probably could have a blanket under my knee, but my mat's pretty thick, so I'm okay here. All right, whew. Let's set up for the other side. So do whatever works best for you with those options. You can just come into your lunge right here, or you can take your foot up the wall, which I'm going to try on this side, or you can use your chair. Either way, we're going to take the left knee and the left foot up. Start with your hands, maybe just on your block. And breathe into it here. Breathe, take a few breaths here. Maybe then you can work your way up onto your thigh. Some of you might be able to reach your arms up and overhead. And if this is tight, I mean, it does mean we need to open the front of our bodies a little bit more. You don't have to do this pose. This is a pretty intense pose, but it's really opening up the quads. Ooh, couple more breaths. And then carefully make your way out. And you can take child's pose. Just take your knees wide and stretch everything out. Take a couple breaths. Yeah, that was hard. So come back onto your hands and knees. Come back into down dog. Get a big stretch here. This might even feel good. You can stay with your hands on the floor. If your chair is right there, you can get that big stretch. Kind of nice with the chair. Just to stretch everything. And then walk your hands and feet together. We'll come all the way up. So we're gonna do warrior one again. Now this time we're gonna do it with our heel up the wall. So if you're using a wall, you can use a wall. Again, if you don't, you can just have your heel in the air. So let's start with the left heel up the wall and the right foot. Start the right foot straight, the right leg straight. Hands on your hips. Now we're gonna bend our front knee into a square. And the left heel's up the wall or just in the air if you don't have a wall nearby. And we're gonna come forward even more. You might need to wiggle your foot out because you really wanna feel this here. And then we're gonna bend the left knee and straighten it. Bend and straighten. If you want, you can reach your arms overhead. Bend, just a little movement here. And straighten 2 more times. Bend and straighten. Last one. And then take your hands on your hips, step forward, switch sides. So now your right heel is going to go up the wall. Left foot will come forward. Start with your left leg straight just to get everything in order here. Hands on your hips. And again, that right heel can just be in the air. And then bend your left knee. So you might need to scoot your foot forward. So you're really feeling this stretch in the back leg. All right. And then you can bend your right knee slightly and straighten, bend and straighten. You can reach your arms overhead if you'd like. Let's do that 2 more times. Bend, just this very, very little movement. Bend and straighten. I lost count. Let's do 1 more. Bend and straighten. And then you can just turn around if you're at the wall. Do down dog here, at your chair. Whatever feels good. Just kind of straighten, stretch all that out. So this is another variation of Warrior 1 that we're going to do. This time take a blanket or your towel or whatever you use. And we'll take the left foot back. Now the foot's going to be at an angle. Take the right leg forward. Keep your leg straight to start. Take that left hip forward and then bend into your front knee. So again, I want to feel this is a really strong leg back here. That back leg is active. Bend into your front knee. Make that knee into a square. Take your right hip back, and then you can extend your arms up. So really engage in this back leg. Drive your quadricep up to your hip. Lift the chest. Arms overhead. Don't overarch here. Just wrists and shoulders and hips are in one line. Take that left shoulder forward. See if maybe you can bend a little bit more into your front knee. 1 more breath. You take your hands on your hips and step your feet together. Take a breath, and then we'll set up for the other side. So angle the right foot and take your right heel on your blanket. Take your left leg forward and start with your legs straight, hands on your hips. Breath in here. Engage your back leg. Root the heel down into your blanket, and then take your knee into a square. Bend the knee. Take your right shoulder forward, and then you can reach your arms up and overhead. And again, wrists, shoulders, hips are in one line. So we're not leaning forward. We don't want to arch in our back. We're just straight up. Right shoulder comes forward. Bend your knee. Engage that back leg. So you should be really feeling this in that back thigh. And then carefully, hands on your hips, step your feet together, come back to Tadasana. Take a breath. Just take a couple more breaths here. Stay in Tadasana. Root down through the soles of your feet. Lift the chest, shoulders back and down. Crown of the head rises up. So let's take our feet wide. Stay in line with each other. Have your block nearby. Take your hands on your hips. Lift the chest. And as you exhale, hinge forward. And then bring your hands down onto your block or the floor. your mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. So you might need to even take your feet a little bit wider here. You might feel okay once you get down there. Couple more breaths. Now we're going to take it farther. So we're going to take our hands and start to slide them in line with our feet. So the crown of your head is going to come parallel to the floor. You might even be able to put your head on your block. And depending on the height of the block, you might be able to take your head a little bit lower. Some of you might even be able to put your head on your mat. So just go where you can go. Don't worry about where your head is, but you want it supported. Hands are in line with your feet, and then our elbows are at a 90-degree angle. We're hugging them in, like we're hugging into a beach ball. So you're going to feel the shoulders expanding. Draw your kneecaps into your quads. Really engage the quads. And then press down through the big toe mounds, the balls of your feet. Couple more breaths. And then walk your hands back under your shoulders. Heel toe your feet in a little bit. And then you come up and then bring your feet together. And stay here for a breath. All right, let's make our way back onto our backs. Just move everything out of your way. I don't think we need anything anymore. So maybe a blanket. You might want a blanket under your head. If that's in your practice and you like that. Sometimes it's nice to have a blanket, depending on the curve of your neck. All right. So let's actually, I want to use a block. Let's get a block. We're going to do a couple of restorative poses. So let's get a block, and we're just going to bend our knees, lift your hips up, and place your tailbone on your block. And it doesn't need to be on the high height. Right now, we're just going to just kind of cooling down here. So have your shoulders on your mat, lift the chest, and then slide the right heel out, and slide the left heel out. And have the shoulders down on your mat. So tuck the shoulders under the chest. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can bend your knees and stay here. Or take the block lower. Just opening up the chest. Again, lengthening, opening up through the front of the body. Stay here for a couple more breaths. One more nice deep breath here. Carefully bring the feet back underneath your knees. Lift your hips. Remove the block and lower down. Just put the block aside. Now take your feet to the edges of your mat. And let your knees drop over to the right. You can even take your arms out to the sides. Bring them up and over to the left. And just go at your own pace. Just let the legs move from side to side. We did a lot of work in the hips today. This might feel good. Just to flow through windshield wiper your legs from side to side. And then bring your knees up. Walk the feet in so they're back in line with your hips. And then hug your knees up to your chest. Let's take the right knee over the left, just like we did a little earlier. You kind of notice a difference when you're on your back. A little bit more accessible. And if this feels easy, take your hands down to your ankles. Carefully just kind of pull the legs apart. Lift the chest. And take your knees over to the left. Breathe here. Pull the legs. The more you take your knees over to the left, the more you're going to feel that stretch right into that right piriformis. And then come on back, uncross, hug your knees in, cross the left over the right, hug your knees into your chest. And then maybe take your hands down to your ankles. Pull those ankles slightly away from each other. Lift your chest and then take your knees over to your right. Again, getting into your piriformis. Big stretch in that glute, the left glute. And then come on back. Let's take the right ankle over the left knee. You can always keep your left foot down if you'd like. We're going to slide the right hand through and clasp behind the left thigh. Now draw your left knee in towards your nose. And then gently press away with your right elbow. So even here, same thing, piriformis, we're going back into that same muscle. And then you can even take your legs over slightly to the left to deepen that stretch. So this muscle can activate your sciatic nerve when it's tight. Crosses right across the sciatic nerve. So they even call it piriformis syndrome, right? It's pressing on the nerve, which causes that radiating pain down your leg. And let's come up and we'll switch sides. You can start with your right foot on the floor or not. We'll pick it up, slide your left hand through, clasp behind your right leg. So if your foot's lifted, we draw the right knee toward our nose and then use the left elbow to gently press away. And maybe take your legs over to the right to deepen that stretch. Lift your chest. And then bring your knee up, uncross. Place your feet down. Take your arms out to the sides. We're going to scoot the hips over to the right. Cross your right leg over your left. Take your knees over to the left. Try to pick up the left shoulder to get the right shoulder down. Keep your chest lifted. You can just gaze straight up. And if it feels okay with your neck, you can look over your right hand. But we're cooling down, so no need to take this too deep. Bring your knees up, uncross. Scoot your hips over to the left. Cross your left over your right. Take your knees to the right. Pick up the right shoulder to get that left shoulder down. And then bring your knees up, uncross. Now if your strap is still handy, grab your strap. Hug your knees in and take the strap around both feet. And then we're going to take the legs up. Lock the shoulders down. Flex your feet. And then take your legs wide. Just go where you can go. This should feel fairly good. You can hold on to your strap. Just to release the legs. Release the hips. Flex your feet. Lift your chest. Just go where you can go with your strap. So we just did this break with our feet. We had our feet on the mat in Prasarita. Now we got the legs over our head. A couple more breaths. And carefully bring everything in, hug the knees in, put your strap aside. Hug your knees in here and hold around both knees. So really hug them in. You can just hold on to your wrists or your elbows. And then rock over to the right and back to center and over to the left and back to center. Just go from side to side. And then we're going to find Shavasana. So come to center and you can take your legs long to your mat. You can roll up your blanket, place it under your knees. Something that might be nice today because we did a lot of work in the hips would be to just come into legs up the modified legs up the wall with your legs on your couch or your chair, your bolster. I'm not talking about a regular bolster like that. I did notice somebody has like a big like a bean bag that might be the same height. So you want your knees bent. I mean, if you could take them up the wall if you want. It's just wherever you want to go with your Shavasana. You can cover up with a blanket, put some socks on, put your t-shirt back on. Get as comfy as you can. Lift your chest. Wherever you are, want to keep the chest lifted. So you're going to slide the shoulders underneath the chest, palms face up. But there's no tension here. We want you to be relaxed. I want you to be relaxed. So scan your body and just notice if you're holding on to anything still. If anything feels constricted, just send your breath there. Let that go. And release your toes. Release your fingers. No tension. Fingers or toes. Relax your jaw. Relax your forehead, your temples. Try to keep a little space between your teeth so you're not clenching your jaw. We really want the face relaxed. Shoulders relax into your mat. And then just let your entire body melt into the earth beneath you. Begin to awaken your body. Start to bring movement into your fingers and your toes. Deepen your breath. Reach your arms overhead. Stretch. Yawn. Make your way over to your right side. And you can stay there for a breath or two. And when you're ready, press up to a comfortable seated position. Sit here for a few more breaths with your eyes closed. Just notice how you're feeling. Just notice how you feel since you got on your mat a little earlier this morning. Maybe feeling just lighter, happier, feel a little more open. Just take notice of all these great things that you're doing for your body and your mind and your spirit too. Take your hands to your heart center. Thank yourself for all this, for doing all this work, taking time for you. We'll thank our friends virtually for sharing their morning with us, sharing their practice, sending their energy out to all of us. And I thank you so much for letting me guide you in your practice. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. You can unmute.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks,
you.
Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Karen, look at the cat.
Yeah. Peggy.
Yeah, you know,
Picture.
oh, that's Lisa's cat. I know, how funny. I actually took a screenshot. She was like right in front of you. Is it a female? Yeah, she was right in front of you at one point. You were lying down on your mat. So cute. Teresa's not here today, but her cat just goes crazy when she lays on her mat. She has to put her out of the room because she's like so crazy. Lily was not around this morning. I don't know where she is. She must be napping. Anyway, I love seeing all your pets. You guys are, used to all mine. So we